I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're delighted to introduce you to a very talented author. His name is William Gotten. He has written a book called Right of Survivorship. It is a captivating murder mystery that intertwines legal intricacies with a gripping narrative. The story revolves around the mysterious death of Sally Connors, exploring a legal premise that a surviving spouse owns property jointly held with their deceased partner. We're happy to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his wonderful book. The links are below this interview. William, thank you so much for being our guest today. And there's the book, Right of Survivorship. Excellent. Are you a lawyer as well? Is that why you've got the legal twist here in the book?
Yes, I am a lawyer, was a lawyer for 32 years, 34 years, and then I retired.
Now, was this
Uh,
inspired by
I
any of your
practiced,
kids? What's that?
yes, I practiced in the niche of bankruptcy and debtor-creditor relations and that sort of thing. And of course, the premise in the book has to do with bankruptcy and the effect of the bankruptcy on the Connors family.
Absolutely. So in part, this is inspired by your real life experiences working in the section of law that you specialized in, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, great. Let's give the folks at home the big picture about this murder mystery. Why don't you set it up for us?
Well, and it's a novella. It's not a big book, but the premise is that this is a upper middle class family that has been doing very well. They have two children. They were in private school, and the father of the family, Bob Connors, is an oil and gas engineer living in Memphis, and his company merged and was acquired by another company, and he was, quote, downsized and received some money when he was kind of shown the door. And for a year or so, everything was fine, but he has not been able to find a job that uses all of his talents in Memphis. There's just not that many oil and gas companies here. And as a consequence, they have financial difficulties. And so he starts to borrow money on credit cards and the like. And pretty soon they've got a financial problem. Now, they live in a very nice neighborhood. They bought the house 25, 30 years ago, and they have just a small amount of the first mortgage that they owe. But they've had to take out an equity credit line, so they have two mortgages on the house. And his wife has gone to work at FedEx, and they're both college graduates, and they unfortunately have not been able to continue the kids in private school. So that's been a burden as well. So they're looking for what to do, and they get counsel from a lawyer indicating a possible bankruptcy may be helpful. Now, when you file a bankruptcy, you list your assets as well as your liabilities. And one of the assets that they have is a very nice house that doesn't have much money owed on it, but it is owned as husband and wife, in what we call joint tenants with a right of survivorship, or tenancy by the entirety is a technical legal term. So he is encouraged to file bankruptcy for himself, and she, because she was not obligated under the credit cards and so forth, she did not have to file. Well, the asset that comes into what we call the bankruptcy estate is a right of survivorship. And ordinarily, a right of survivorship is not worth anything. If it is a saleable interest, and that's a key factor, it is a saleable interest in bankruptcy, and the trustee could sell it. But anybody that buys it gets essentially nothing. It's a gamble. So the book has a premise that we have a right of survivorship, and lo and behold, somebody buys it. Yeah. And they buy it for not very much money. Now, it's a gamble that the person who owns that right of survivorship is going to outlive the other spouse. Right. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. You got a recipe for a murder mystery, of course. And I understand you left the book open-ended on purpose because you're contemplating a sequel. Is that the case?
Yes, absolutely. I did that on purpose because I think that, frankly, I think it would make a very good television series or it could be made into a movie, I suppose. But television series would be good.
Because you got the law enforcement aspect, you've got the legal aspect, you've got the dynamics of the family, a lot to unpack there, which is great, which makes for interesting TV because, you've got the personality, the investigators, the personality, the family, the lawyers involved, the desperate situation sometimes of a bankruptcy as well.
That's absolutely correct. And it's no secret that it is a murder mystery, and the murder brings in a Memphis detective by the name of Harvey Miller. And Sally Connors dies as a result of an automobile accident, or at least that's what we're told. But Miller doesn't think that that's quite right. Just a gut reaction that here's a woman that was a good driver by herself, and all of a sudden she's into Nonconnor Creek and drowns. Well, that's very sad, and he just doesn't believe that it might have been an accident. Well, why? And that's an interesting part of the story, in that when they pull the car out, it has damage to it.
Wonderful. So, it's very, very interesting stuff for sure. Have you already started working on the sequel?
The sequel has been written. I'm not entirely happy with it, but it develops the relationship between Harvey Miller and the FBI agent, Rachel Simon. And you say, well, why is an FBI agent involved in the book? And there's a reason that the FBI gets involved in this. And then Harvey and Rachel, he convinced Rachel that this wasn't an accident.
Right.
And there is other involvement that involves dead people. And so Rachel gets interested in trying to solve it as a special agent, but they have absolutely no proof of anything that is being a murder or how somebody might have died, and that be related to Sally Connors. So that's why you read the book.
And, exactly.
And it develops the relationship. And in the second part, the sequel, Harvey and Rachel go into greater depth in trying to resolve it, plus developing a relationship between themselves.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Now, besides writing briefs and writs and petitions, prior to this, have you done any writing, or is this your first try at writing fiction?
Oh, well, I've written a lot of things, just as you say, briefs and the like. But I've always liked to write. And this is the first time that I've had an opportunity to sit down and develop this premise, which has been in my brain for 15 to 20 years. So
Yeah.
during the COVID, and I'm sure a lot of other authors sat down at the same time and said, well, now I'm going to write my book. So
Yeah. No more excuses. I've got the time now.
well,
Government says I can't leave my home. So it's a perfect time to write a book. Well, we're glad you wrote this book. William Gotten has written a wonderful murder mystery. It's called The Right of Survivorship. You will learn a lot about the dynamics of people. You will learn about police investigation, and you will learn a lot about the law, because all three are intricately intertwined within this book. Fascinating book, and you'll be wanting more as you read it, and more is coming, and that's a promise. William, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
well, thank you, Logan. I appreciate being here.
My pleasure. Great to have you. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight. And that's what the cover looks like. The links are below this interview.
Thank you.